Appreciate your patience. We're here at Solar Slope, live here in Lehigh, Utah, and we're going to talk about a little bit about some industry trends that we're seeing with the ITC changes, and then we're also going to talk about how can a contractor survive the next few months and also thrive and still be in business in Q2 of 2026. That's not too far away, but it's really been on a lot of people's mind with the recent ITC shift and the legislation that was put out there. So we're definitely looking to forward to hearing from all of our panelists today on what they feel would be the best way for a contractor and the industry to move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and introduce. All right, that's me, Dean Caravalotti, CRO of Solar Insured. And we're going to need to move that computer over here because this is not working. So we have another technical difficulty in working. All right, let's see here. All right, look, it's working now. Got it. So we want to introduce now Jake Whitney. Go ahead and give us what you do, how long you've been in the industry, and a little bit about horsepower.
Yeah, hi everybody. I am Jake Whitney. I'm the regional sales manager for Fortress Power. I'm the U.S. Sales manager for the team. So I've been with the company for a little over 2 years now. So I oversee the Midwest market, the Western market, and the Southern market. I work with installers, distributors, rarely homeowners, depending on the situation, but I start anywhere from the education, the sales training, the technical training, to managing the relationship and helping their business grow and supporting any capacity that I can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now we'll pass it over to Colton. And Colton, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know what you do?
Yeah, sure.
Let us know what you used to do.
What I used, Colton, Maine. I have been in the solar industry for about 12 years. I've worked at Solo for some time and RFX, and currently with Lean Liquidators as a VP of strategy. And super stoked to join this morning. It'd be fun to talk more about the solar coaster, which some of the dinosaurs like Dean and I have been through many different seasons in solar. So excited to talk more about it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, Colton, I'm glad you're here. Now we're going to talk to Carson Cloud. Carson, let us know a little bit about yourself.
Carson Cloud. I'm the founder and CEO of Solar Survey AI. I've been working in the solar industry 5 years now. Started as a solar surveyor, was well versed in drone technology, saw a gap in efficiency and accuracy on measurements and analysis of residential or commercial. Now working in utility scale. We work all over the US in residential and commercial. And then for utility scale, we're here in the US, Europe.
All right, awesome. Exciting stuff here. Now, I thought we'd get right to it because we had some big changes happen just recently with the ITC and the updates, and maybe we can get some high level from Colton, and then maybe a little bit we can filter through all the rest of us for what our takeaways are from that ITC that happened here.
Yeah, so big changes in the big beautiful bill. The 30% residential ITC is going to expire December. So you need to furnish some funds and equipment before the end of that. So that's going to be a big shift. We'll talk more about how that's going to change the landscape. But there's also some changes that were applied to commercial solar as well. Some benefits to batteries as well. We'll get more into that with the rest of the team here.
You got anything else you want to add? Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, with the recent change and the big beautiful bill passing, in my opinion, like this year is going to be like a mad dash to the finish line of clicking out as much sales, clicking out as much project,
for the homeowners that want to just capitalize purely on lowering their costs of the system. And that's going to cause a snowball effect upon all the financing companies if they cap out on the funds, all the loans. Also, manufacturers like Workers Power, a whole home battery solution manufacturer, and there's other manufacturers in the state to where we have to bring so much material into the state. And it's going to be really important that installers plan to purchase that's houses plan to purchase ahead to be ready for all the projects to have it ready by the end of this year. Based on its written, from my understanding, the materials have to be purchased by the end of this year in order for the homeowner to save 30%. So it's gonna be a mad dash. I think that honestly, personally, the fat's gonna get trimmed off in this industry. I'm actually kind of excited for that. Good practices are going to exist still. Bad practices are gonna go away. It's a fantastic thing to see because ultimately we want the homeowners to be the ones that benefit from these systems, but also we want businesses to be sustainable. And the reputation that sometimes the solar industry gets, which is not a good reputation, happens from very unhealthy practices and the people who don't care about the homeowner, they care about their paycheck. So I think this will trim the industry down in a healthy way, and then it's going to thrive. But it's going to feel like a partial reset, in my opinion, but a really good reset. We just have to go through pain like we have before many states and many policies.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we got our updates, right? So what have you observed executive teams out there doing? Are they like shrinking back or are they preparing?
So, in a lot of the states that I oversee, some mom and pop shops have already shut down. They have filled out their pipeline for install projects for the rest of the year. Their bandwidth is so stretched thin, and so they have capped their sales. They're not selling anymore. They just want people to fill, and then they're going to be done after that. Other companies where their structure is not just based on the solar industry, but also the electrical servicing industry, is actually going to be really healthy. They're going to survive because we already deal with a void of homeowners and houses where they just have PV systems or just some small PV systems and batteries, and their company died. They don't exist. Their systems don't work. They need it serviced. So some companies just send technicians out to survey it, and then they realize, okay, it's not working. We'll help you turn it on for a small fee, and then they upsell. But they mostly upsell right now for storage, not more PV. That's the model that I'm seeing that people are creating for the remainder of this year and for the years to come, because selling 100% PV or offset or where some states in net metering is such a low value is not going to make sense anymore coming into next year, especially with the tax credit going away. Um, and then massive corporate companies we've seen, their financing backer, won't say the name, but they pull out all their funds or they file bankruptcy or they pull out of all the contracts, they cancel solar loan, and they don't know where to contract it anymore. It's happening all over the state. And I think, again, the ones with the good practices and the good books and the ones that are financially healthy are going to be good. The ones who are just in it as a cash grab are the ones that are going to close down shop. And mom and pop shop, they're small, local. Some of them will survive because they know their limit, or they create a limit that will create them for success rather than stretch thin.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Berkeley, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing a huge increase in our end in terms of the pipeline coming in. Right as that bill passed, we were seeing it right away. There's a big inflow there. And essentially, what people are looking for is how do we get it right the first time? How do we get our engineering through? And how do we make this process as quick as possible, but then also making sure the customer experience is as good. Um, so, I mean, there's still a lot of wiggle room that we can find in that 30%. Just because that 30% federally is getting cut doesn't mean that aren't other places that we can. Our hard costs right now around 20 to 30% of that install, and then those soft costs are more around your 70 to 80%. So if we look at that majority, we can actually find areas that we can improve as an industry and lower our costs a lot.
Absolutely. Love it. So what should companies do to make sure they're going to be still around in 2026? We already talked a little bit about that service. Colton, you got anything that you want?
Yeah, service is going to be a big part. There's millions of solar arrays that are out in the station. Lots of them are going to need service. There's going to be a pretty healthy service industry to maintain these systems over the years. Battery attachment will be something that you can continue doing into the future. The ITC is still eligible on batteries and storage, some other systems as well. I feel that a lot of solar companies were focused on their attrition and adding other home improvement products to help with their attrition. But really, what they could do is focus on how that can add additional revenue to their company. So if they have sales guys that are already selling maybe heat pumps or HVAC upgrades, that is a massive industry that they can continue to tap into and potentially just transition sales teams into a different type of home improvement industry. Not completely abandoning solar because the value proposition is still there. Energy rates are still getting more expensive. I think you can just bring more value to the homeowners. The commission stack will have to change. Your operations will have to be more efficient and change all your costs that you mentioned. Really just need to be the best version of what you were doing if you want to continue into 2026 and beyond after that.
Absolutely. And it isn't the end of solar. Some people post online, hey, solar is dead. It's not. But as far as like when the interest rates went up, some realtors, they stopped selling. They said, I'm just going to stop moving right now. But did home sales stop? No, home sales still happened. And the ones who still stayed with that got more market share. And that's what kind of the mantra that I would say is stay in it for the long term, be the best that you can be when it comes to you being a solar provider, a solar service provider, and doing the battery add-ons with the state up here that we stated before. Like all of that being all things solar to in energy to your customers, and your customer base is going to help you to survive through this next industry shift. So now, you know, uh, Carson and I were just at the Mid Atlantic Solar Expo RE Plus, and it was the first show after this news. So we all kind of breathed a sigh of relief. Some people panicked, right? But what do we see at the show?
It was all positive. It was all positive. People are talking about VPPs and they're talking about state level incentives. And it's just how do we react? How do we prepare? Right. And the majority of the people that I talk to there are making those shifts and wanting to make those changes, move forward and live on. It, um, so it was good. It was a refreshing experience, honestly. I think especially looking at social media, with people saying solar is dead uh, and going out there and talking with people about how they're preparing was just a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur. It was great. There were over 1,600 attendees, and the roar inside that building was loud. It was everybody was talking and sharing, exchanging ideas and stories, and being positive. But there are a lot of tailwinds with solar as well, with the headwinds. So there's SREX on the East Coast. There are some state level incentives. We talked about VPPs. There's people that are changing their practices using large format panels instead of regular format panels. Being able to be innovative to be able to make sure that when the shift happens, that they're ready and they're able and they're going to be a lean operator and make it through this next uh, shift. So let's talk a little bit about Fortress Power. Um, Jake, if you could do that for us, please.
Yeah, so Fortress Power. So we are a manufacturer of all home battery systems. So we do 48-volt inverter and battery systems, indoor, outdoor, and also we manufacture commercial lines as well. We are also associated with VPP programs. I consider us one of the industry leaders for VPP programs and opening up new markets because utility companies are not just going to create a program out of their goodness of their heart. It sometimes takes the manufacturer to push them and to present like how we can benefit their grid and their, let's say, their structure with those programs. So we'll go to the next slide quick. So yeah, so again, our product line, residential, commercial, Fortress Power for VPP programs. We just talked about that. So for VPP programs, that's the one I kind of want to touch on base real quick. So the presence that we have and also where programs. So on the East Coast is National Grid, Eversource, PSEG, Duke Energy is actually a massive one. On the West Coast, you have Rocky Mountain Power, which actually not just touches the state of Utah, but is in Oregon, Wyoming, soon to be, I think they're working on Montana. And then we have our presence in the California market. And also Portrait Power, we just created and, or not created, we just joined Holy Cross's utility VPP program in Colorado. So we are developing those markets more, but also we're working with those utility companies to help them see how it can be financially sound for them, but also beneficial for their grid because the majority of grids in most states that we are seeing are over 60 years old. They're kind of fractured. Most repairs are not new equipment. It's just a Band-Aid and some gum and stick it together and hope that it works at the end of the day. I think that, in my opinion, that's where the market is also going to thrive and grow into 2026 because a lot of these power companies are going to see a strain of electricity. The development of commercial, residential AI data centers is not slowing down. In fact, it's thriving. It's probably outpacing exactly how much electricity the power companies can actually sustain. It's why, for example, Utah has had more power outages this year last year than historically ever has because they can't sustain it. Other states such as Arizona, California go outages quite frequently. Why the state is incentivizing everybody to get storage that way they can pull from the storage, pull from the PD. So I think we're going to see a boom of that more, and I'm optimistic that's going to happen. So, but it's also important that they understand that that's a two-way street to work with the manufacturer, to work with the installers, and make sure that the data is correct too, that they know when to pull the power. So, just to show some sites of what we've installed. So the far right one is our indoor-outdoor system, the Forest battery, which we just came out with. And then this one is actually here in Utah. This is actually on the WattSmart program. So our Aplex battery. And then this far left one, actually commercial. And that's the beauty of the Fortress Power products is that our residential line can actually be used for commercial. We can do 3-phase and it's actually VPP ready for 3-phase commercial systems. That takes quite a bit of investment testing, but we're actually very well confident and very well structured to support that. So we have a very versatile line. So we'll go to and then real quick about the kind of the commercial aspect. So we don't just provide commercial products and batteries, but we actually do the whole design start to finish. We just require data from the installer. So if they have interval data, we'll actually design the commercial for them, and then we'll actually provide um, the return on investment, and then we'll help them get the product. So these products take a little bit longer, can take 3 months to 5 months of development, but we do the designing ourselves because it's actually way easier to do and easier to manage expectations. So, to kind of share my last thoughts too on with the changes and everything, I really do stick by on there's going to be some companies that are going to go. Um, I am shocked to say the least that there are installers in some states that where, again, the net metering is less than 40% value, but they only sell 120% offset and no storage. I don't see how that helps the homeowner whatsoever because, again, net metering can go down, it can go up, but we don't control that. The utility companies do. Historically speaking, for Utah, for example, they have never played fair to us. They don't even tell us when they do changes. In fact, they did an 18% rate increase. They lowered the value in the month of March within the span of a month. So it is so much more wiser to do for the homeowner as an installer to do a little less PV, like 78% offset, where the peak production in the afternoon from like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., most of that power the homeowner is not using, and it's just being dumped back into the grid. Put that into the battery. Honestly, put that into our battery, I don't care who else over the battery is, as long as the market is dating it and the homeowner's benefiting off of it. Just stop selling it for so cheap. The power company doesn't care. Store it for yourself. The pitch of sales needs to adapt and needs to change rather than, oh, we're going to swap your bill. It's going to be lower. That practice is not really going to exist in 2026 with the ITC going away. It's kind of time to call accountability for sales reps of elevate your, not a sales, but elevate like how you want to present like the value of a loan. No, yeah, you show the value of solar resiliency, self-independence. If you care about going green too, heck, doesn't matter. It's so easy to sell. Oh, your bill's gonna be lower. Okay, well, let's see how good you are as a salesperson and show actual value of the system and help them be more reliant than rather than dependent on a power company that ultimately doesn't care. They just want money at the end of the day. So I'm excited to see that change in the industry. That's gonna be rocky, but that's the industry that we chose at the end of the day. But I think it's actually gonna be a lot healthier. I think it's gonna thrive extremely well in 2026. It's just pain points that we have to go through, but every industry goes through this. So on that hard time.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you for that. Appreciate what Fortress is doing to bring these virtual power plants to homeowners and to the industry. Really do. Yeah, taking the lead on that. Now, I just like to talk a little bit about post ITC preparation, kind of, and we'll get a little bit on what we're going to do over the next 6 months. But how can the VPP programs help contractors post ITC? You have any ideas on that, Colton?
Yeah, so like Jake mentioned, the VPPs are all over the country. It gives a lot of opportunity for contractors to participate. There's probably one in your market. If it's not public, then they're probably working on one. So just figure out how you can participate in deploying batteries and joining into VPP programs around. And just to kind of echo what Jake said, for a long time, net metering agreements have been changing. They're always adjusting to make the value prop a little harder for homeowners to capture that value. And when you have a battery or you have a storage option or your excess generation, that energy is most valuable to you when you keep it at your home, especially in markets like in Utah or other net metering areas where you're only getting a portion of what you have to pay for that. So keeping that energy that you're producing in the homes where it's most valuable, it's a really easy combo for homeowners to understand. We can export all of this and you're going to get 30 cents on the dollar, or you can purchase a storage system and you get to keep that full retail price. So the savings is still there. And they can capture ITC on battery as well. So it's just a slight switch in strategy. So the misconception about VPP program that I think sales companies have, but why they don't want to pitch to homeowners, and rightfully so, why homeowners are timid is it's a contractual agreement with the utility company. Like the whole goal of solar is to be off of that. Well, you're tied to the grid either way, whether you do it or not. Most VP programs that I see in a state such as Utah, Colorado, Texas, North Carolina, the contract is anywhere from 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. Yeah, that commitment is, it's intimidating. Your battery system can last longer than you expect. But most of the incentives is that homeowners are getting rebate checks up front, anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000, actually 10,000 in some other states. And then
So that helped offset the cost of the system. And then they get a credit per month for the remainder of the years. That's really great to pitch, but the intimidation is, okay, what's the power company got to do for me? Well, in a lot of contracts, it says like, yeah, we're going to pull power from your battery. Nobody likes that mindset. From what the data shows, they actually hardly ever touch it. For example, Utah and Duke Energy, they pull maybe 5 to 10% of storage, maybe 3 to 4 times a month for intervals of 5 minutes to maybe an hour. Like that's actually pretty minimal compared to how quickly your battery can get filled back up with your PV. So I see the intimidation. I see why the adoption of installers and homeowners has been slow to work with VPP program. But if you actually look at the data and historically how they've been doing it with homeowners that are currently on the program, they actually hardly ever touch it. If they do, they're not depleting the thing 80%, 90%. If anything, also manufacturers, such as ourselves, who are involved with these programs, we also have a say on how much they charge. We kind of control the event. There's a lot of control there, and they're actually not doing much with it. And so I think that's why there should be less intimidation. Take the time to read the contract, but also take the time to look into, okay, where's the proof on the pudding? Like, how much have you guys actually pulled? They're always willing to explain it, but everybody doesn't want to reach out to them because they're timid of the answer.
I appreciate that clarity on that, Jake, very much so. As far as what can solar executives do to lead their business to, pivot to making batteries a must-have instead of a luxury?
It comes down to the mentality of how you want to sell it, choosing the right battery manufacturing partner, and also the reliability of the system. And like, if you have to go out to continuously service it or not. It also comes down to like, do you want to be in the solar game long term? I think that's the root question is, do you want to be here long term? Do you want to continuously thrive and find the solutions and add battery to your system and actually take the time to adjust like what kind of PV offset should you be doing? What should you be charging the homeowner? How much should you be paying your executives or your sales rep? I think all those need to take into account. I don't have the perfect answer for every single company because every company has a different approach for selling systems, but also how they want to structure their sales team pitch. So I think that's something that each company needs to thoroughly investigate is, okay, how do we financially sustain ourselves that we're profitable, but also build it into a practice that is healthy for the industry? Because honestly, storage is, I believe the technology is there, but also there's accountability on the manufacturer's side of batteries. Like it's good. Could it be so much better? Absolutely. I think that in the manufacturing side of batteries, the technology, we're going to be forced to make it better quicker. And that's kind of exciting to make it more efficient, more cost effective at the end of the day. And then lastly, this is off subject, but domestic manufacturing, that's happening more and more that we're seeing to qualify for better incentives for the manufacturer, but also for making the materials more effective. That's going to take time though. That's not going to happen in 6 months. That's not going to happen in a year of the domestic content here. That is long-term commitment. But again, to answer your question, I think each company has their own way to evaluate that. And that's what's going to determine if they are going to thrive, survive, or go away.
Absolutely. I like it. Any other comments on that?
I mean, I think to go back to your point on homeowner education, very important in the sales cycle. Because right now, it's sitting down with the homeowner. Here's your bill now. Here's what your bill is going to be. And that's typically the sales, right? Now that we've had these options, but most of the time, at least what we're seeing in the site survey is homeowners are saying, I don't really understand this, or they don't get it. It's just a quick transaction instead of a 15, 20-year relationship, right? So if we add in the sales cycle, in that sales process, more education about programs and how that actually works. it's just the fear of the dark, like the fear of the unknown, right? Solar, I've been on the grid my whole life. I don't understand solar. Please leave my house. Versus being able to talk about batteries, backup storage, the VPPs, and really having them understand these programs, and then being able to provide them with data on that, how that's going to look like 15, right? And that roadmap of, no, we're not just putting glass in the roof. We're not installing batteries. This is what your next 15 years is going to look like, right?
Absolutely, I love it. And so let's fast forward into 2026. How the tax credit's gone. How are we going to be able to get homeowners to say yes?
Speak to that a little bit. I feel that the companies that are going to survive are going to be the ones that are returning all the value of solar back to the homeowners. They're going to be experts at all the options, not just one trick pony. Solar doesn't apply the same in every market. All the changes that happened in California over the years, moving more towards storage, right? Being the expert on storage, being able to thoughtfully explain to the homeowner how solar plus battery is going to be the way that saves them the most money. Ultimately, homeowners are purchasing because they can save money. It's not guided solely by environmental impact. And you just need to be the expert in that. To speak back on people selling in certain markets way over offset without any storage, that's just not being the expert in your market, and you should be. So the people that maintain past 2026 are going to be the experts. They're going to be the ones that optimize all of their systems. They're going to be as lean as possible. Doesn't mean that they're not going to make money, but everything's just going to have to adjust and change. So the healthiest ones will continue on through that, but being the expert in your market, all the options, all the programs that are available, there's no reason why you can't continue past that.
Yeah, that's why we see a lot of these national companies go out, right? They're not experts in their field. They're slinging solar panels on the roof, right? They don't know the AHJs. They don't know what the codes are in this county right? And they're trying to put solar in, and that causes long delays and really bad, customer satisfaction, right? Um, looks like you have something to say there, Carson.
Yeah, I mean, we see this all the time. Ton of rework being done because they're going with proposal tools that are based on satellite imagery where you can barely see that roof. And they're saying, hey, we can throw on 30 panels to that roof, go to a house and end up fitting 15. And those contracts, that return was a lot. So that adds in your customer acquisition costs. It adds in your bottom line a lot more just because of the lack of knowledge and the lack of data that you're coming to the homeowner with. And down the line, it just becomes this process of like, we're promising a lot. And then throughout the process, you're actually finding out you're getting less and less.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tee this one up for you, Carson.
Yeah.
So, what changes do you think contractors can make to their installs or their sales model that lowers their costs without diminishing your value?
Right. Implementing drones immediately and not even looking at those proposal tools. Whether you're doing door to door or virtual, and trying to get somebody out there to actually get them a solid proposal. Right. And what you find in most neighborhoods, like, I mean, you see it in Texas, these kind of copy and paste homes where it's like, hey, we did this analysis on one home. It's probably very similar across, right, in that neighborhood. So being able to skip that step of maybe this satellite proposal and going directly to a site survey, maybe something that's not intrusive, just drone over the roof. Maybe it's not boots on the roof or in the home, but just being able to give them that upfront transparency of this is actually the amount that we can get on that roof and what that looks like, going down the line.
I love it. I have so many contractor providers that tell me that they use this on the lead. They don't even pitch anything until they do that drone survey. And then they knock on all the neighbors' doors while they have the drone pilot out there and say, "Hey, we're doing a drone survey across the street." And who doesn't want a little data on their house? Have a little video of their house and find out what's going on and get a solar quote, right? So really, this is a really good way to educate, to know, to stop, as build and other extra costs that happen when you try to go install and you have to go back to the homeowner and maybe re-sign paperwork. The other thing is a much better customer experience. And I see that this is a very low, if not any cancellation rate. So this is not high pressure sale. It is one that really is upfront and really helps the contractor providers that we deal with really grow their business.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's a non-intrusive way to be able to give them an accurate proposal. Um, when you go and two, there's a side benefit that we see all the time where you throw up a drone, it's loud, it's noisy, and other neighbors come out like, "What are you doing? Oh, you're getting solar on your roof? Oh, interesting." And it's just one of those things that adds a little bit of trust to your company because you're using state of the art tech, right? You're going there to the home, you're actually spending the money and the time to do these flights. And we have people come up to our surveyors all the time and say, "Well, what are you doing? Who's installing it? Oh, do you have a card? We'd be interested." And they're literally grabbing our surveyors and wondering what we're doing. They can get it to what that looks like. Um, so versus someone just on a roof, probably they're probably just not going up to the contractor asking them what they're doing and what's going on. We have people's kids come out and they'll look like, "Hey, mom, dad, like, look at that. What are they doing?" So it's like a magnetic force to that survey, and it's that extra piece of marketing that some people don't even realize.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that someone can update to help them to innovate, be innovative, and still provide value?
I'd say just making sure that your operations are incredibly streamlined. So using tools like Carson has with drones, um, adjusting some of your processes that you're doing. There's a massive pipeline right now of projects that are coming through, tons and tons of volume. You need to be the best that you can during this time. You have to make sure that you get everything done as good as possible. And it should allow you to curate something that can be long lasting as long as you're able to make sure that you become more and more efficient. Sales will need to change. We'll need to talk about new things. You'll need to adjust everything, not just sales practices, commission, all operating costs across the board will need to be adjusted. And if you do that, then you can continue on. I mean, there's been tons of changes all over the place over the years, and solar's carried on. So it's still a good value proposition.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. So we just have time for one more question. How can solar executive teams balance the short-term high volume pushes and sustainably make it to the next year? We have this big end of year push for all things solar.
Yeah. So Seth, seeing that, one as implementing still those drone surveys. If you're getting beats on the roof, you do roof measurement. Not only is it not safe, but in terms of efficiency and speed, our surveys cut down from about an hour and a half to 2 hours, to down to 35 minutes, 35 minutes, right? So just there, you're buying back time. So if you're trying to optimize your systems right now and trying to get that glass on the roof, like you want to get those permits in pending as soon as possible, right? And the best way to do that is once they sign up, get it done, get that site survey done as quickly as possible, and submit that permit. Submit it. Sometimes we're 120 days out, so you let's say get your data in. You want to get it right the first time. because sometimes if you go out and go to the install and you end up having to do rework, maybe a panel didn't fit properly, now you're going through that entire process again, right? You're resubmitting. Um, yeah, you have a lot of rework to do these initial steps properly.
There's additional tools to use too. So you need to make some type of purchase this year, right? So you need to furnish the equipment or something like that. Then you need to make sure that you have tools that the homeowners can use to do that. Maybe it won't be through financing tools, but if they can make purchase with cash and you can secure that somewhere in a trust or escrow account, then it allows you to continue forward past to make sure you have time to get everything done. Um, Kelly at Paykeeper has escrow tools that are built exactly for that. So it doesn't have to just end right away. You just need to be compliant with these new regulations, and then you can carry on more volume.
And I absolutely see like local banks, credit unions, HELOCs becoming a lot more popular next year. And also, hey, the value proposition of a dealer fee and having a lower payment is also still attractive. But try to make sure those dealer fees are low as possible, and have your team give the homeowner the option. And if they'd rather have the payment, or then let them make that payment. But if it's cash, or they could get their own financing, that's another great way for them to be able to save money.
I think the thing that I'll add there is anticipate the challenges, anticipate the bottlenecking that's going to happen, but have the right people, have the right product, have the right product that's going to support you. Challenges and bottlenecks, I mean, there are going to be hidden things that's actually going to slow down projects. We installers, we can't, like, they can't afford to be casual with signing a contract. They can't be casual with design. We gotta be careful on each one. The reason why I say that is you have to go to the city to get a permit. Okay, that's gonna get bottlenecked because each city only has probably 2 or 3 workers doing each one. Do they really care about like a few more homeowners or like fewer installers contracts getting pushed through December 31st? Probably don't. You also have to think of city inspectors. City inspectors also take quite a bit of time to schedule, weeks or month out. That's another bottleneck. So the more that the executive membership of any install company has a good relationship with those governing entities, anticipating the time of how long it'll take to push through, they'll be able to get more business because they'll know exactly how long it'll take to have it dialed in. They know that their product is ready to go when it's on the supplier's shelves and ready to go. So planning 2 months, 3 months in advance, having the right people with the right sale practices, morally, ethically, rather than just like telling a homeowner a hope and a dream when really you're just trying to get them in because you want to check. So right people, right product, anticipate challenges, bottleneck, be in the know your data, know how long it's going to take, not just start, but see it all the way through. That's how you're going to be very successful in 2025. And I think that's what's going to create success for those companies to be sustainable into 2026.
All right. Awesome. Great suggestions here. Great. Appreciate you guys for coming in today. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Okay. All right. Covered it. Okay. Awesome. Love that. Yeah. So I just want to also just state here, hey, thank you to Solar Insure for sponsoring Solar Slopes. Really appreciate that. They have SI30 warranty products for solar and battery installations. And why don't we give a round of applause for all of our panelists today? Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you all for tuning in on the Zoom as well. Thank you.